Welcome back, I'm Sean, and we've recently checked out the newly launched POCO that was a very similar take to this genre of the budget range of smartphones, and today we have a very similar model from Xiaomi. So let's check it out.
Remember when you said it doesn't get better than this? Only a fool would've let you go. You got into my head. Am I about to lose myself? When will all of this fade away?
So the Redmi Note 13 today was sent over to me by Xiaomi for review, and this is not a sponsored post, and my review will be based on my honest and unbiased opinion. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any future tech reviews. So there will be 3 models of the Redmi Note 13, starting with the 6GB RAM model with 128GB of storage, 8GB RAM model with 128GB of storage, and as well as the range-topping 8GB model with 256GB of RAM, which is the model that I have here. And Redmi markets this phone with the Snapdragon processor, so let's see how this chipset actually performs. And if you're interested in buying them, do check out my links in the description below. So the two devices that I have here is really similar, and I think the design of the Redmi right over here is a lot cleaner and professional, since it has this seamless back without that straight cut line right over here, as you see on the POCO. So this entire design actually makes it look a lot more polished and premium. So the back of the phone is again made of this glossy plastic, with the main focus being the 3 cameras on top and a small Redmi logo at the side here with the proud 108MP logo at the side. And the good news here is, again, you're going to get a silicone case in the box itself, and that's what I really love about these brands, because it's very practical and gives you everything you need to start using the phone. It also comes with a screen protector already applied, so you can protect your phone right out of the box. So the phone comes in several colors: the midnight black, mint green, ice blue, and a very nice ocean sunset that I have over here. That kind of changes color as you tilt the phone around and how the light shines on it, so that's very nice. So the 3 cameras that you're getting here is the 108MP lens right up here, coming in f1.75, which should perform well in low light, so let's check it out. You're also going to get an 8MP ultra wide lens here at f2.2, as well as a 2MP macro lens at f2.4, and you're also going to get a big flash at the bottom there. And on the right side of the phone is your power button and the volume rocker as well, and similar to the POCO M6 Pro, you're getting an under-screen fingerprint reader here, so no power button reader. And at the top of the phone is again a 3.5mm headphone jacks and a speaker unit, so this again is a stereo speaker. So the speakers and headphones both support Dolby Atmos, so you can use this phone to enjoy your media, especially since this phone is also high-res audio certified. So the left-hand side of the phone is very clean and nothing on it, and Redmi puts the SIM tray at the bottom of the phone next to the Type-C port and also the bottom firing speaker. So the SIM tray is also a dual SIM tray, so you can flip it around, but you can also choose the rear slot to expand the storage up to 1TB. And at the front here, you're gonna get a 60MP front selfie camera, and it's also a cut-out camera similar to the POCO. So the Note 13 provides you with a very nice display, and it's the same display you get with the M6 Pro as well, coming in at 6.67 inches, and it's a full HD Plus AMOLED display with a resolution of 2400 by 1080. So in person, this display looks really good and sharp. So you're also going to get a full DCI P3 color gamut, and colors look really nice and vibrant here. However, one drawback here is that Redmi uses Corning Gorilla Glass 3 instead on this phone. Since the Xiaomi 13 series uses Corning Gorilla 5, I think you'll have to sacrifice with an older screen technology here to kind of create some competitive advantage for the Xiaomi 13 series. So this phone also comes with a 5000 mAh battery, which is pretty standard in today's market for smartphones, and I've also tested this using my standard video test, and with the AMOLED display, let's see how the phone performs. So running YouTube on the highest 1080p resolution at max brightness, here is the test result. So this phone drains battery very consistently and almost at a rate of 6% per hour. So starting at 100%, at the first hour mark it dropped to 94%, second hour to 88%, and so on and so forth. When it got to the 7-hour mark, the battery dropped to about 58%, and that's where it started to drain slightly more, about 7% per hour. So at the 10-hour mark, it dropped to about 40% battery life, and by the 14-hour mark, it dropped to 14%. So the phone finally died at 16 hours, which was pretty impressive considering that the POCO M6 Pro, which is the phone's closest competitor, died at 13.5 hours. So perhaps the difference between 1080p and 1440p YouTube playback does kind of make a difference. So the Note 13 also comes with a 33-watt wired fast charging, still pretty fast but not as fast as the 67-watt on the POCO, and you're also going to get a 33-watt charging brick in the box itself. So with this phone, you see that we now got a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, but yes, although it's a Snapdragon processor, doesn't mean that this processor will be superior to processors like the MediaTek series of processor. So you can check my comparison video here between the POCO M6 Pro as well as the Redmi Note 13 to see which phone is better. So with the Snapdragon 685, the Note 13 now has a 6nm octa-core processor clocking in at 2.8 GHz with the Adreno 610 GPU. And honestly, performance-wise, this chipset is decent, but it doesn't quite have some of the processing capabilities that I look for instance, no 4K playback and also no 4K or 2K video recording. The chipset also supports only a Bluetooth 5.1, which is not the most modern codec out there. In YouTube, the phone maxes out the playback at only 1080p, and there is no option to bump this up to 1440p or 4K. So gaming with PUBG, however, feels decent with this phone, and you can run it in HD graphics with no problem. It doesn't hang or anything like that, but it doesn't feel extremely fluid. And similar to the POCO, although there is a 120Hz display here, it doesn't mean the game will run at 120 frames per second, but actually at a much lower frame rate. So, and because of the support of this Snapdragon chipset, the phone gets a maximum RAM of 8GB only and a maximum internal storage of 256. So far behind many modern phones out there, but the good news is that you get to expand the storage to 1TB with a micro SD card, so that balances out the issue with storage. Finally, the phone is also rated at IP54, so you get splash-proof protection for this phone, but please do not bring this phone out in the rain or use it in the shower. So the 108MP camera on this phone is definitely a very good camera, and although I've always said that sensor clarity is more important, but the technology that Redmi uses here as well as the software processing is pretty good. So when using the main camera lens, the camera uses a 9-in-1 pixel binning technology to capture any photo, so meaning it takes 9 pixels and combine it into one super large pixel, and the benefit here is that you get better clarity and noise reduction. So with the 108MP mode, you're going to get a large 12,000 by 9,000 pixel shot generating about a 30MB file, larger than the file captured on the POCO M6 Pro, and still a lot smaller than the iPhone's 48MP RAW file at about 90MB in this scene. So if you compare the image quality here, in this extremely far crop right over here, you see the iPhone comes up with the best contrast and clarity photo here. And although the POCO's softness does give certain scenes an advantage, as I mentioned in my POCO review, but when you really want clarity in your photo, I think the best still goes to both the Redmi or the iPhone type of phones. So the Redmi gives you a lot of details and you can see the sharpness with the camera, however it doesn't generate as much contrast, but that can be sorted out in post very easily. From a standard day-to-day use, the Redmi provides you with very good optics for most situations, and even using the phone in low light situation looks pretty good thanks to the pixel binding technology. So the ultra wide lens here is also very good, and you get the 8MP f2.2 lens here, which gives you a pretty wide shot with no problem, and if you like wide landscape or architecture shot, then this camera would be nice. Again here, you were getting only a 0.6x shot, and comparing it to the 0.5x in the iPhone, it's still a little narrower, but still pretty good. So there is also no telephoto lens here with this camera, but you're going to get a 2x and 3x digital zoom, so to be honest, it actually still looks pretty good thanks to that large pixel binning technology, and you still get pretty good crop resolution. So the macro lens here is also pretty normal, and the 2MP macro lens provides you with the capabilities but not so much the quality, so if you absolutely need the macro feature, then you still have it. So video mode here is also not too good due to the Snapdragon chipset that you get. If you really like video, then the POCO M6 Pro is still at least a better choice, since you get 60 frames per second on the POCO but only 30 frames per second on the Redmi. So quality wise, the 1080p lens for both of the phone looks pretty similar. So portrait mode here seems pretty standard Xiaomi algorithm and pretty good in most situations, so no complaints here. And the front 60MP lens is really not the best, and you do see a significant quality difference between the front and back sensor as well. So the stereo speaker on this phone does give you a very immersive sound quality. Whether or not you can hear the difference with the Dolby Atmos speaker, I think we can argue about that, but it definitely sounds really good when you're using it in landscape mode to watch movies. So also with this phone, it supports high-res audio, so you can definitely plug in your audiophile headphones to use it with this phone. So decent option here if you want to buy into the Xiaomi brand. Redmi is still a pretty good budget-friendly smartphone brand. So the phone is decent, have a lot of nice specification, and definitely good enough for someone starting out or using it as a second phone. But it's not the best option we've seen so far in 2024. So that is it for this review. If you find this video helpful, smash the thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.